Hello everyone and welcome back to Beatley Tones Beatles channel. How the devil are you all? Hope you're all doing well and enjoying the Let It Be box set. I'm just absolutely loving it. Can't get enough of it at the moment. Today we're going to do a full review of the main album. I'm not going to do the extra material. That's going to be for the next video. But we're going to go through the album track by track and compare it against the 1970 version, but I'll tell you a bit more about that in a minute. First things first, I just want to give a really big thank you and a big welcome to all the new subscribers. Really great to have you here. I hope you're enjoying the content. For all the old subscribers, I want to say thanks very much for all your comments. I'm trying to answer them as soon as I can, but I will try and answer everything. Even if it's not that nice, I will still answer it. If you're here for the first time, please give the video a like, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you won't miss a thing. As most of you know, this is a new channel and a new experience for me, and I have hit 100 subscribers, which is a bit of a milestone. So to celebrate that milestone, I just want to do this dance. So thanks very much for that. If you want to see the dance for 200 subscribers, you know what to do. One thing I like to say about this album is it doesn't get that much love generally, I think, from fans. But I've always really liked it. I like the Phil Spector mix. I think he did a really good job with what he had to work with. A lot of rough recording, but my own personal opinion is I think it's perfect in its imperfections, if you know what I mean. I like this sort of rough and ready, unpolished live feel that this album has got, and I think that's one of its its key attributes for me anyway. I don't know, do tell me how you feel about it, but I think this is a good album to start with, and despite whatever Giles Martin has done to it, the old version doesn't go away. We've still got that. We've just got something new and different to listen to. One doesn't replace the other. This is how it's going to work. We're going to go through song by song and give each song a rating out of 10. A lot of the points given is going to be for the song itself, because the song doesn't change from version to version, but the extra points or the deduction of points will be to do with the mix, which mix that I prefer. Now, before we get going, I sort of got a bit of a mixed sort of history with Giles Martin's remixes. I thought he did an absolutely fantastic job on the Hollywood Bowl when you think about what he had to work with. I mean, the improvements he made to that is just incredible. I thought Pepper was brilliant. I thought the White Album absolutely fantastic. Abbey Road, I think I prefer the 2009 remaster of Abbey Road to Giles's version. So let's see how he got on with Let It Be. So track 1, Two of Us. This is one of my favourite songs on the album. Very underrated, I feel. I love the sentiment of the song, the young lovers doing silly things together. But most of all, I love the fact that despite everything that's going on, this is 1969, and John and Paul are singing melody and harmonies together like it's 1963 again, and they're doing This Boy. So I really love that. Even though there's the argument, the friction, and all that, they've still got this magic to pull out of a hat. In the Giles Martin mix, he's managed to get a lovely thud sound on Ringo's kick drum, which is much higher in the mix than it is on the Phil Spector version. And a lot of people, I've heard a lot of people complaining that there's too much bass in this song. Well, obviously that depends on what you're listening to. If you're listening in a car, it's probably not gonna, you're not gonna get the best sound because it's not going to be able to deal with it. But actually, there is no bass in this song at all, because that low sound that you're hearing there is George playing the lower strings of his Fender Telecaster, and it's higher in the mix, but it's a great pattern. So why wouldn't you want to hear that? Let's hear it. The vocals, they seem crisper, and the acoustic guitars much smoother. And I said it's one of my favourites on the album, and Giles, I think, has improved it. So for this track, I'm going to give the 1970 version 8 out of 10, and the new version 9. So track 2, Dig a Pony. Now this track doesn't get a huge amount of love from the Beatles community, but I really love it. It's probably the heaviest song on the album, and in this new mix, the bass and the drums, and they come thumping in with the guitar on that intro, just as they should do, and that sort of distortion sort of carries on throughout the song, and I really like that. John's voice throughout this song is much more upfront, and it just sounds so beautiful and full of clarity. Gives me goosebumps, and you really sort of hear the harmonies that Paul is putting in behind John's melody much better and much clearer. George's guitar solo sounds fantastic, and it really you really do get that sort of live feel about this song, just because of its sort of muscularity, I think. Just one little bit at the end, the little bit at the end where John says his hands are so cold I can't play the chord now. It's taken 40 years for me to hear this properly. For years I thought he was saying my hands are so cold I can't play the organ. So there you go. That's clarity for you. You probably all knew that anyway, but I've been in complete ignorance for the last 40 years that I've had this album. So for the rating, Dig a Pony, I'm going to give 7 to the 1970 version, and to the 2021 version, I'm going to give 8. So the 2021 version going into a slight lead there. So next up, Across the Universe, fantastic song. Right from the sort of the opening bars, you can hear the improvement in this song. The acoustic guitar just sounds so melodic and crisp, and you can literally hear sort of fingers sliding, and the pick strumming the strings, and Ringo's kick drum is audible at last, but all the rhythm is provided by the acoustic guitars. John's voice just sounds so hauntingly beautiful. It just sends shivers. And I knew that the strings were there, but I'd not really paid that much attention to them. And in this version, the orchestral strings they're cranked right up, and I think the song is all the better for it. I mean, going back now, I can hear that they were always there, but just not as prominent. However, the choir are still really annoying and way too loud for my liking. I'd have preferred to have heard George and Paul singing background on this, because I don't know if anyone's noticed, but they're quite good at doing harmonies. It would have sounded perfect if they did it. in my opinion. I mean, John commented that the other Beatles were not really into this song and didn't put much effort into it. Maybe that's why the choir got the gig. I don't know. But I think this is probably one of John's best lyrics that he ever did with the Beatles, in my opinion. I mean, the imagery is just outstanding. And if it wasn't for the choir, this would be a 10 for me. But it is, as it is, I'm giving the 1970 mix 7 out of 10, and I'm giving the 2021 mix 9 out of 10. Track 4, I Me Mine, George's first song. Great track. Really sort of a real rough and ready track, some great guitar in it. One of the highlights for me in this song, though, is Ringo's bombastic sort of drum fills, and in the new mix, unfortunately, these are toned down quite a bit, and so is his snare. The strings and the horn section are sort of higher in the mix, which sounds really great. But what we gain in strings and horns, we lose in the drums, and for that reason, I'm going to say that I prefer the Phil Spector mix on this song. So for 1970, we're going to give it 8, and for 2021, I'm going to give it a 7. So the new mix is still in the lead. So next up is Dig It. What can I say about Dig It? Dig It, to me, is like 50 seconds of nonsense. It's not really a proper song, to be honest. And to be honest, there's nothing really to choose between them. There's not much I can say about the mix. What we'll say about this is, I'm not sure, but if you're not from the UK or don't like football, that's British football, soccer to you American guys, you might not know who Matt Busby is. I don't know whether you do or not. Maybe you just Googled it, I don't know. But Matt Busby was football manager of Manchester United, who probably one of the biggest teams in England. And in 1958, they were the team were on their way to a match in Europe, and their plane crashed on the takeoff, and several of the players were killed, and the survivors were known as the Busby Babes. And shortly before the Let It Be album was made in sort of mid 1968, this team, Manchester United, they won the European Cup. They became the first English team to win the European Cup. So that's probably why Matt Busby was kind of a newsworthy type guy, and got mentioned in the song. So if you don't know who Matt Busby is, you do now. As for the song, I can't give this more than 3. 3 for each mix. I can't tell the difference between the two. And so we move on to the title track, Let It Be. There's not really that much that can be said about Let It Be that hasn't been said before. The Phil Spector mix of this has always been my go-to version of Let It Be, mostly because of George's fantastic solo. So how do you sort of, I mean, the song is pretty perfect. Like how do you top perfection? Somehow Giles Martin has managed it. There seems to be sort of more tone to the piano, particularly on the intro, as that opening piano sounds a little bit muted, I think, on the 1970 version compared to how it sounds now, and it just sounds more sort of purposeful, I suppose, for want of a better word. Paul's vocals are up in the mix, and again, that it just sounds, his voice just sounds fantastic, and that amazing guitar solo by George has never sounded more stunning than it does here. I don't think. So as far as the scores go, 1970, I'm going to give 9 out of 10. This one I can't give any less than 10. 10 out of 10 for Let It Be. So we've arrived at the end of side one. Maggie May. For Maggie May, see Dig It for details. It's not really a proper song, is it? You know, again, there's nothing really that worth mentioning about this song. It's slightly more pointless than Dig It. They're busking it, but in this remix, it feels more live, like they're actually busking it in your front room. So I'm going to give this 1970 two for Maggie May. 1973 for 2021, just because it just sounds a little bit better, but there's nothing more to say really. So on to side two. I've got a feeling this is another of my favourite songs on the album. It's a bit of a standout for me. It's a fairly sparse arrangement. You know, it's just guitar, bass, drums, piano. So there's not really that much sort of tinkering that can go on with this one. But I think what we do definitely gain from this new mix is better instrumentation, sort of separation. Billy Preston's electric piano sort of stands out, and Ringo's kick drum does as well, and Paul's bass sort of drives it. It rocks hard with Paul's sort of screaming vocals and sort of John's laid back interludes, which gives the song a real sort of nice sort of light and shade thing going on. And I just love the last verse where Paul and John are kind of singing their own parts over the top of each other. It's just such a great track. That's a real highlight for me. So 1970, I'm going to give an 8, and 2021, I'm going to give a 9. So 2021 is still ahead. On to One After 909. Very similar to I've Got a Feeling in as far as, you know, the band are sort of set up the same way. So that, you know, so there's not that sort of there's nothing extravagant sort of going on musically. Again, you do get much more clarity on this new mix as far as instrument separation goes. It's a straight rock and roll song with yet again sort of John and Paul singing together, and Paul's bass is sort of all over this. I mean, you probably know this is an old song, one of their early compositions that they kind of resurrected for this, and you hear like an early version of it on Anthology 1. But everything about this version sort of, it feels very live, and it's great that you can really hear sort of Billy's piano during the guitar solo. Good song, not an outstanding song. I'm going to give it 7 for 1970, and I'm going to give it 8 for 2021. So on to Long and Winding Road, probably the most controversial song on the album. I mean, the song itself is just an absolute masterpiece. Paul hated everything Spector did with this. I'm not sure that he's right about that. We've got lots and lots of different versions of this. Without Spector, with Spector, different takes. But it's interesting that although Paul didn't like the orchestration, when he goes out live now, he still has his keyboard player Wicks, put strings on this song. I think he really objected to the harp. But I think I disagree with Paul about this song. I think it's such a big production. It sounds like a song that deserves a big production, and it does get one. And I think the orchestration works well on this song. And I think the remix really brings out the strings, and they work best on this a big production number like this. Again, I could really do without the choir. I just don't like the choir at all. One thing that you do get from this mix is you really hear Ringo's cymbal work much better, and I think the song is all the better for being able to hear exactly what he's doing and how what he's doing blends with the song. He's using sort of the bell of his cymbal to great effect, and he really sort of sits in the song rather than just drums to it. He's embedded in this song, and his contribution is very much underrated, I feel. But the piano in it sounds great. It's more upfront, and so are Paul's vocals, and they're full of clarity. The harp at the end has been sort of lowered a little bit as per Paul's instruction, but not enough really. I just want to sort of just read out the letter. Look, if you've got the book, if you've got the box set, you've got the book, and in the book there's a reprint of the letter that Paul sent to Alan Klein about this, and it's just classic. So 14th of April 1970 to Alan Klein. Dear Sir, in future no one will be allowed to add or to subtract from a recording of one of my songs without my permission. I had considered orchestrating The Long and Winding Road, but decided against it. I therefore want it altered to these specifications. 1. Strings, horns, voices and all added noises to be reduced in volume. 2. Vocal and Beatle instrumentation to be brought up in volume. 3. Harp to be removed completely at the end of the song and the original piano notes to be substituted. 4. Don't ever do this again. Signed, Paul McCartney, although it's not signed, the letter's not signed. And it's CC'd to Phil Spector and John Eastman, Paul's lawyer. So, did he get his wish with this new remix? Not really. Not really. I think the orchestration is as full as ever. I do think the Beatles instruments are up, but the harp's still there. But I think this song sounds great. It does. It's a definite improvement. I think it's a matter of choice of whether you prefer the song, with or without the orchestration. I definitely, I don't object to the orchestration at all. I like pretty much all the versions of this song that are out there. What I really don't like is the bloody choir. So my scores for Long and Winding Road, 1970 version is 7, and 2021 version a whopping 9. So we move on to George's second song for you, Blue. The sort of the plinky plonky piano kind of lifts this song away from being a bog standard 12 bars blues song. George's vocals, they're higher in the mix and they sound great. The guitars, both John's pedal steel and George's acoustic, sound clean and crisp, and that very strange sort of plinky plonky piano that's being played by Paul. They achieve that sound by sticking bits of paper in between the hammer and the strings on the higher notes of the piano. It's not one of my favourite songs on the album. I think I like it a bit more than I like One After 909 and obviously Dig It and Maggie May. So I'm going to give 1970 version 7 and Foy Blue an 8. And so we come to the last track, Get Back. Very familiar song, if not this version. So in this one, I think the bass and drums are much more punchier, and that improves things no end. The guitars during the verse seem to feel a little bit heavier. Billy Preston's contribution to this song should not be underestimated. And his funky sort of electric piano solo is a bit of a highlight for me. In what I feel is it's an ordinary song. I think it's not a fantastic song, but he thoroughly deserved his individual credit on the single version of this song. So as far as the scores go, we're going to give the 1970 version 7 and the 2021 version an 8. So I think we're probably all agreed that the Beatles did actually pass the audition, but did Giles Martin? Well, according to my scoring, he did, just for fun, of course. That he did pass the audition. I think he's done a really great job with this, and I'm enjoying it immensely. So I really want to hear what you think. Have I got it right? Have I got it wrong? Tell me your wins, your loses on this new remix. I want to hear all about it. I really hope you've enjoyed the video. And I'll see you on the next video, and thanks very much for watching. Cheers, bye.